everyone, welcome back to my channel, Baseball Talk with Nick Morgan. So today, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the New York Mets dismissing manager Carlos Beltran, or mutually parting ways, but at the same time, it still means fired. It still means he's no longer going to be the manager. So call it what you will, but nonetheless, Carlos Beltran is no longer going to be taking in that managerial role for the New York Mets going into 2020. A lot's going on in Major League Baseball recently, and I'm trying to cover as much of it as possible, especially when it revolves around the Houston Astros 2017 cheating scandal. If you guys are ready for this video, don't forget to drop a like down below, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, go ahead, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter using the links down below in the description. But without further ado, let's get into it. The New York Mets fire Carlos Beltran. Earlier today, January 16th, 2020, the New York Mets and Carlos Beltran announced that they mutually decided to part ways, which is another nice way of saying that the Mets had fired Carlos Beltran. And this is all a big result of the Astros cheating in 2017. The Astros punishment, which came out just days ago, included but was not limited to a one-year suspension for both general manager Jeff Luhnow and manager AJ Hinch. Later, the Astros organization took it amongst themselves to fire both of these guys, and we would see the next upcoming day or two that Alex Cora would also be fired from his job as a manager of the Boston Red Sox, as he was linked to the Astros cheating in 2017. He was a coach for them. So now, all eyes turned to Carlos Beltran because he was the only other person affected by this cheating scandal. He was involved directly as he was a player back in 2017 with Houston. Now, he was not a coach, so there was no direct punishment from Major League Baseball, but today, the Mets felt that it was in their best decision, or in their best interest to go ahead and release Beltran. They had a meeting last night, both Mets executives and Carlos Beltran, and also this morning. And following this morning's meeting, they went ahead and made it official. Now, there's a lot going on. Obviously, the Astros are the catalyst here, but the main point that kind of started this domino effect was, again, the release of the punishments by Major League Baseball for the Astros organization, and especially being Luhnow and Hinch being suspended and then later fired. Now, we don't know if Alex Cora is going to have another punishment. He was linked to the Boston Red Sox also cheating in 2018, but Carlos Beltran is out of a job, as well as Cora and Hinch and Luhnow. So a lot's been going on. This week has been crazy hectic, and here I was thinking that after free agency, we wouldn't have a whole lot of news in the offseason. We'd be bored, but no, I was completely wrong. Carlos Beltran now out of a job, which is crazy. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my opinions. Should they have fired Beltran? I'm definitely on the fence when it comes to the Beltran firing here. I could have seen it go either way, with the Mets keeping him as their manager or firing him. And of course, now we've gone down that route where he is no longer with the organization. So I'm going to kind of go ahead and support the idea, and also just talk about my thoughts about it, because Major League Baseball came out and directly said we are not going to go ahead and punish or penalize any of the players. But they did not say that organizations could not take it amongst their own hands and do it themselves. So we see Hinch being fired. We see Luhnow no longer having a job as well within the Astros organization. We then look at Alex Cora being fired, and I don't know if that played a factor in the Mets making this move or not, but I can definitely see why the Mets would kind of have a forced hand here. Everyone involved no longer has a role with a team, and the Mets, would they look bad keeping Beltran? It's all kind of up to interpretation. Now, yes, it wasn't ideal that they are losing him, as he has not managed a single game for the organization. But at the same time, because they are in need for a new manager, they didn't have anyone going into the 2020 season, it doesn't really make a big difference that there's someone new stepping into the role. Now, for me, if it was Carlos Beltran and the New York Mets and I was someone involved with this organization, I would have maybe said that Beltran would be okay with just an apology, saying, I accept, whatever you guys think about me. I know I cheated and that's wrong. I shouldn't have done that, but it's in the past. I'm ready to help the Mets win legally now this year, as I take ownership and I take the responsibility as a manager. But I can definitely see how him being in charge of an entire team could go wrong, because also Jim Crane and Luhnow said that it was primarily the players that executed the cheating and that schemed everything. So Beltran was one of those guys, which we don't know if that's the case or not, who says he wouldn't go ahead and execute the same thing with the New York Mets or something very similar. Now, yes, it would have been risky, but you can never say what is going to happen in the future because we just don't know. So it was definitely a precautionary risk here. It was definitely the Mets kind of saving themselves, and that is a reason for them firing Beltran, because if they didn't, I see people looking at them in a negative way, but also just they could have gone about this differently, I think. I am not completely torn over the fact he's no longer with the team. I do think this was the right move, just so that we can kind of put this behind us now, sweep it under the rug, the Astros. This should be the last thing. You know, I don't know any other players or coaches that are still in the league that were involved in 2017. So after this, it should be old news in yesterday's paper. You know, we shouldn't have to worry about the Astros cheating scandal anymore in regards to punishments. Maybe we flip the page and see the Red Sox get punished a little bit for what they did in 2018. But for the most part, I think now all the Astros news is over. A lot has happened this week in Major League Baseball, and it all revolves around one common factor: the Houston Astros cheating back in 2017. Now that Carlos Beltran is out as the New York Mets manager, before he even managed a single game, we have to go ahead and see who they hire next, or if they announce an interim manager anytime soon. I do believe that they have their eyes on a couple guys that interviewed originally and did not get the role because they lost to Beltran, but I do think that there is a silver lining here. Maybe they pick up someone that just really knows how to work this Mets team in 2020 and can make something really amazing out of a very talented and gifted Mets team. You know, even without a manager, on paper, the Mets look to be very solid going into 2020, and I'm excited to see them do very well and kind of beat out the competition, maybe place higher than third in the division, have a shot at the wild card, make it into the postseason. I think that'd be amazing, and they definitely have the talent, the players, and the guys to do so. So yes, we need a new manager now, but at the same time, maybe this was something good for the New York Mets. Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard. I can go on and on about how great this team is. So Beltran is out, yes, and I get that. But now I think the Mets will definitely have a shot. And not saying that they didn't have a shot with Beltran as their manager, but I still think that they can perform at that highest level possible without Beltran being with them in 2020. So there you have it. The New York Mets have fired manager Carlos Beltran because of the whole Astros cheating scandal in 2017. This offseason has been nothing shy of amazing and very shocking. Major League Baseball has definitely taken a huge step forward in preventing or trying to prevent players and teams from cheating in the future. Now, I know that the punishments weren't as harsh for the Astros as at least I was thinking they were going to be, but they had a huge effect on the rest of the organizations. You know, at least two of them are impacted heavily, and that is the Red Sox and the Mets. And now you have other teams as well that kind of notices, recognize that all this is happening because a team exercised the law and took it into their hands to go ahead and cheat, which at the end of the day isn't acceptable and shouldn't be tolerated. So I'm very happy to see where we can get in the future. Hopefully we kind of lock down on the no cheating thing at this point, because I don't like it. Nobody likes it. You know, I get if your team is winning the World Series, you wouldn't mind doing it, especially if you're only losing your general manager and your manager a couple $1 million, whatever. But at the end of the day, that's not how you play the game correctly, and I just don't like the aspect of it being in the game, and I don't think anyone does. So now that the Astros haven't punished, the Red Sox lost their manager, the Mets lost their manager, I think it's safe to say we are done hearing about this scandal for at least a week. Please don't let it come back anymore. I know Carlos Beltran's niece was dropping bombs on Twitter, but please, let's just get it out of the way. I'm excited for spring training. If we do have to go ahead and deal with punishments again, it's going to be the Boston Red Sox very soon, and that'll be handed down from Major League Baseball and Commissioner Rob Manfred from what they did and when they cheated in 2018. But wow, this offseason has been crazy ridiculous. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like down below, comment, and subscribe. That is going to be it. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Peace.